Welcome to Module 2 of the online training for the Raptor Monitoring Volunteer Program with Colorado Parks and Wildlife. In this module, you will learn about how to perform the non-nesting protocol. In observation zones with nests, the non-nesting protocol is used during the non-breeding months, generally September through February. In zones without nests, it is used year-round. Because of the focus on observation zones, this protocol is also referred to as the Zone Observation or Zone Monitoring Protocol. When conducting the non-nesting protocol, you will conduct 10-minute surveys from a fixed observation point associated with a numbered observation zone at least twice per month. As you can see on this map of Steamboat Lake State Park, the observation points for each zone are marked as pink dots with black crosshairs. Record all the raptors you observe within the zone during those 10 minutes, whether you can identify them or not. If you can't identify the species, record as many details about it as you can and look it up later. If you're still unable to make a definitive identification, don't worry. There are options in the database for reporting unidentified raptors. Try to be as specific as possible with identifications, but know that identifying to the species level is not always possible. If needed, monitors may move around within 50 feet of the point in order to see around obstacles. However, this is a sampling protocol based on point locations, so please do not go beyond 50 feet from the point. Observation points can be moved by resource stewardship staff if volunteers find a better observation location within the zone. This is the field data sheet for non-nesting surveys. A printable version of the non-nesting field data sheet can be found in Appendix E of the Volunteer Handbook. Alternatively, you can download the Zoho Creator app to your mobile device and enter your data while you're in the field, but this only works if you have cell service in your park. You will learn about how to use Zoho in Module 4, and the instructions are also provided in Appendix G of the Volunteer Handbook. The non-nesting field datasheet is very similar to the nesting datasheet. A few fields benefit from additional explanation. Observation Zone Code. Each zone is identified by a 6-character code that is the unique name of the zone you are observing. We follow a naming convention that specifies the park the zone is in by a 3-letter code and then a unique 3-digit number. For example, PUE003 is non-nesting zone number 3 in Lake Pueblo State Park. Time start and time end. When you started your zone survey and when you ended your zone survey. Please enter this in military or 24-hour time if possible, without AM or PM. Equipment. What equipment did you use to make your non-nesting observation? Circle one. If you used more than one, circle the equipment that led you to your most significant behavior selection. Most significant behavior. There are 15 raptor behavior options, listed in order of significance, in terms of behaviors that provide the strongest evidence for raptor breeding in the area. These behaviors are described in more detail in Module 3, and they are defined in the Volunteer Handbook starting on page 11. Although these options are circled on the datasheet for the nesting protocol, they are not circled on the non-nesting datasheet. Instead, they are recorded in the data table below. In the data table, you'll record your observations with one species per row. Record whether the birds were immature, male, female, or of an unknown sex. Record any behaviors observed from the most significant behavior listed above. Describe the location, or provide coordinates, of the specific location within the zone where you saw the raptor. For example, let's say that during a 10-minute non-nesting zone observation, you saw 2 adult red-tailed hawks perched and 1 immature bald eagle flying overhead. The red-tailed hawks would go in one row of the data table, and the bald eagle would go in a second row. Unless you were certain of the sex of the hawks, you would record 2 in the unknown sex adult box, and record perched in the behavior box, and then describe where they were perched. For the bald eagle, you would enter 1 in the immature box, and record flying in the behavior box. You could use the location box to specify which direction the eagle was flying. Enter your data to the Zoho database as soon as possible. 24 to 72 hours should generally be the most time that elapses between a survey and data entry. However, please don't hold back data if it has been longer than this. Your data is always valuable, and you will learn about how to enter your data into Zoho in the 4th module. If you see raptors in the park outside of your 10-minute survey, in a different zone from the one you are surveying, or while walking or driving between observation points, this can still be reported on the non-nesting field sheet and submitted to the database as a non-nesting incidental observation. Record the zone the raptor was in and write incidental in the comments section of the datasheet. When you enter these incidental observations into the database, you will check a box immediately after where you select the zone code that says, "Please check this box if this is an incidental observation." On the non-nesting observation field sheet, simply note the start time when you observed the raptor and the end time when you stopped observing it. This may mean that you only had 1 minute elapsed between start and end times. That's okay. To remind yourself to check the incidental observation box when entering your observation into the online database, it's a good idea to write incidental in the comment field on your datasheet. Raptors observed outside of mapped zones or park boundaries should not be reported unless they entered a mapped zone or crossed the park boundary. If you didn't see any raptors during the 10-minute survey, you should still fill out a datasheet and enter that data for the zone. Zeros are still valuable data. While following the non-nesting protocol, you should spend some time looking for new nests. Look for new nests throughout the fall, winter, and early spring, when trees have dropped their leaves. Around the time when non-nesting season switches over to nesting season, you may observe courtship behavior or nest building activity that reveals the location of a new nest. Look for these behaviors at the start of nesting season for the species in your park. This may fall within a broad range of time, between February and June, since the beginning of nesting season varies significantly depending on the species. Raptors make more frequent visits to their nests when building and courting than when incubating or in the early stages of brooding. If you're able, visit your parks more frequently, at least once a week, during the courtship and nest building phase of the breeding season. A good strategy for finding nests using raptor behavior is to find an overlook or viewpoint with good coverage of a large area and sit and watch, possibly for hours. The more time you spend in the field at the right time of year, the more nests you will find. Raptors reuse nests from year to year. Once we find a nest, it's easier in subsequent years to keep an eye on that nest or the general nest location. For this reason, it's important to monitor the area of destroyed or inactive nests. A raptor found that spot suitable for a nest at one point in time, so another raptor will likely find it suitable in the future. That said, we do not expect volunteer raptor monitors to devote large amounts of time to searching for nests. Do it as you're able. If you keep up with your non-nesting observations during the winter months, you'll probably notice clues for new nest locations. Additional nest finding tips can be found in Appendix B of the Volunteer Handbook. While hiking in new areas of your park can help find new nests, sitting in one place for an hour or 2 or 3 allows wildlife to get used to your presence and continue with their natural behaviors. If you find a new nest, document which species is using the nest, the location of the nest with coordinates if possible, the substrate the nest is built on. See Appendix C in the Volunteer Handbook for more information about nesting substrates. Nests that are within the park or that are outside the park boundary but can be seen from within the park should be reported to resource stewardship staff and monitored throughout the breeding season according to the nesting protocol. Determining the exact coordinates of nests may not be possible until after the breeding season is completed due to proximity restrictions. In the meantime, you can report approximate coordinates by drawing an approximate location on your park's nest map, by dropping a pin in Google Maps, or by using the Avenza mobile app. See Appendix D in the Volunteer Handbook for detailed instructions on how to use the Avenza mobile app, or watch the Avenza tutorial videos on this site. Email the new nest location data to resource stewardship staff as soon as possible. A resource stewardship staff member will update the nest monitoring maps and the online database so volunteers can incorporate the new nest into their monitoring plan and begin recording observations for the new nest. Thank you for watching this non-nesting protocol training. If you have any questions, please contact the resource stewardship staff at the phone number or email listed here. Thank you.